Hello and welcome to today's episode of the WholeHearted Living podcast with your host Debs Thorpe. And today I'm going to introduce you to the topic of active relaxation and how this may be the key to helping you actually master relaxation for yourself in a way that you may not have come across before. So let's do this. So, active relaxation is a concept that you may or may not have come across. I know for a lot of clients that I've worked with, this isn't something that they have thought about before, and it's been really helpful for them to really understand and utilize this within their life and experience relaxation on a level they've not done so before. So no doubt when we think about relaxation and all of the stuff that we've been told over the years about relaxation, we think about not doing anything, right, physically. So, that's lying down and meditating, or it's, maybe like lying down in a hot bath, or it's it kind of has this connotation that we need stillness and we need to be doing nothing in order for our body and our mind to access relaxation. And I've come to understand over the years, with all of the work with the mind and body, that this isn't always the case. And particularly for people who are really in their masculine energy, and by that I mean they're really in the doing energy, right, where everything's go, it's fast paced. They are thinking about lots of different things at the same time, and there isn't this like switch off button at any point, so their brain's always on the go. When we're in that type of functioning, which a lot of people are, it's very hard to then just suddenly just stop and access relaxation. Because typically what happens is that even when you physically stop your body, your mind will still be like on the hamster wheel. Okay, it's still racing around. And so whilst your body might physically be resting, as in it's not moving, your whole entire being is not experiencing relaxation in that moment. And no doubt you have had this experience many times where your body might be exhausted, and you're thinking, oh, at the end of the day I can't wait to get a really good night's sleep. But the second that you go to your head hits the pillow, your body's really wanting sleep because it needs that replenishment, but your brain is still kicking in and is fired up, and it won't allow that. So this is where the concept of active relaxation can really help. It's a great way of transitioning, and I actually think the sitting down, the being still, that type of meditation, that type of relaxation doesn't work for everybody. That there's a lot of relaxation that we can access through really gentle movement through the body. So you might find that you can access a better state of relaxation by actually doing something, moving your body, which allows a lot of processing to happen, and through that you can then find that you access relaxation. So some really good examples of this are going out for a mindful walk. And by that I mean that you go for a walk with the purpose of really absorbing and taking in your surroundings. So this isn't a a thing of like kind of just going for a walk down the road and still being totally and utterly preoccupied with, the millions of thoughts going on in your brain at that point. You're going for a walk with the intention of being in the environment and noticing as many small little details as you can from the walk that you're doing. So you're still being somewhat active, your body's moving, but you're providing a slightly different focus for your brain. And that switch from, maybe the stress or the pressure or the intensity of the endless to-dos and all of that stuff that your brain gets caught up in, that very kind of hamster wheel effect. Maybe that's still going on somewhere in the background, but you're choosing to focus your thoughts and your thinking in a different way for a moment. And that just allows your whole system to switch over and just have a different experience of that present moment, which allows your system to just release and find a state of relaxation. So that's one really good way of accessing relaxation. Another one is through doing some kind of yoga, Pilates, anything that is a gentle movement of the body. So once again, there's nothing strenuous in that physically, but you are allowing your brain to have a slightly different focus because it's having to think and concentrate on, whether you're following a YouTube video or you're going to a class, it's having to think about the positioning of the body and how that's feeling. And so again, this is an active thing. You need to be an active participant in it, but it is requiring a different focus from your brain and your body. So it allows it to, for those moments, be on a different track. So if we imagine that, we've all been there where you get caught up in the everyday life, you get caught up in the stress, the endless to-dos, the routine, the habits, and it can feel like this hamster wheel. And so your body and your brain gets very conditioned to that state. It's like the train on the track. Okay, it's just following that track. And what we're inviting our brain and our body to do through taking some form of active relaxation is we imagine that we are the train that is changing track. And so for that period of time, we are allowing our whole being to have a different experience of this moment. And I've found that it has been so much easier and so much more powerful for clients to access that state through an active relaxation process rather than just trying to go from being on that hamster wheel, being the train that has got the momentum on that single track, and then just trying to stop. There's a lot of resistance from the brain and the body to just stop. It's a lot easier to just allow that momentum to shift over to a different track. So that's what we're doing here. So it becomes less about the thing and more about the change in the state of being. So being able to have a different experience at this present moment. So, I really do believe, and the evidence has been there from the clients that I've worked with, that this does need to be some sort of active process. I've seen it so many times where people will be so stressed, they'll be on the edge of burnout, and they'll be like, yeah, but I get home and I don't do anything. I'm, in their mind, they are technically relaxing because they're not doing anything, but they are kind of sat in front of the TV, binge watching whatever series, but their brain is still thinking. They're not fully present in that moment. It's too passive an activity to be engaging their whole being in a different experience in that moment. You know, the amount of times I have seen people, I've been there and done this myself, whereby you are, you know, physically too exhausted to do anything. So you sit there and you'll be watching Netflix whilst also being on your phone, whilst your foot is bouncing up and down, because your body and your experience in that moment, it's still in stress. It's still, it's still on the same track. But there's a part of you that's thinking that, well, technically you're relaxing because you're not doing anything. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. So this is my invitation to you for today, is that you begin to see relaxation in a different way, and that you find a way of active relaxation that works for you. I've spoken before on the podcast about how, for me, nature is that. So I can take myself off for a walk, and I find that really, that's a really accessible thing to do. I don't need to be reliant upon a class or a certain time or, equipment or anything like that. I can just put my shoes on and go outside, and that's a very easily accessible form of active relaxation. And like I've said, that's not just I'm going to go out for a walk and still be totally consumed by all the things that are stressing me out and all of the millions of thoughts. That's me going for a walk and really allowing a change of state in that moment, soaking up all of the environment and allowing that to create a different experience within. I find the same process for yoga and so any form of stretching my body, that has the same effect. Being in water, anything linked to water. So active relaxation can include going for a swim, taking in the energy of water. So for me, just sitting by water, a lake or the sea or a river has a very soothing effect. You could even experience this just when you're having a shower, right? If you're really, really struggling to fit anything at all into your schedule, then taking the process of having a shower, of cleansing yourself, taking extra care in, what products you're using on your skin, what does it feel like when you have that, when you are washing your body, like what's the sensations, how does that feel? Using that as a form of active relaxation, that also works. So just to add on another section of this, active relaxation is still different to like an intense exercise. So some people who I have worked with, they have, really stressful, pressured jobs, and they'll go, okay, but I also, they'll play a particular sport, or maybe they're a runner, and they do something that is like, well, that's their, like stress relief, if you like, which it absolutely is. And it's really great to have the experience of also pushing our body. However, that's still a very, it's a stress on the body in a different way. I mean, it's a positive stress generally when we are pushing our physical self. And of course, you do get the endorphin release and all of the other stuff. It's a great way of being able to process the stress hormones in our body as well. It's still very different to relaxation. So in an ideal world, we have this balance of the push of, the intensity of moving our body, that massively releases a lot in our system, and it's a really good thing to incorporate. I'm a really firm believer in the the pushing our physical self beyond our limits. I think that gives us huge benefits. This active relaxation piece is different to that, and I think we need both. I think our body needs the experience of the intensity of the push and the stress that it puts the body under, in that way, positive stress that it puts the body under. We also need this experience of it's also okay for it to relax, for it to move in a way that is nourishing and, allows it to process anything that it needs to, that allows everything to just slow down a little bit and for that to be okay. And if you are someone who is on that hamster wheel, whether it be, physically, mentally, life is just feeling very pinched, very like you're being stretched very thin at the moment, no doubt everything feels like it's sped up and there feels this pressure. And so we want to begin to introduce it's okay for your system to slow down. It's okay for it to understand that it's okay for it to just be. And I think active relaxation is an amazing tool that we can use that allows us to begin to shift from I must be doing all the time to it's okay to, technically be doing an activity, but do it in a way that is more focused on the beingness. Okay, so there's my invitation for you today. It's kind of a short and sweet one of, well, what's your relationship with relaxation at the moment? That would be a good place to start. And understanding that relaxation is our natural state. And I know when I first came across this and I started studying our nervous system, and, we've got our rest and digest state, and then we've got our fight and flight and survival state. We are in one or the other. Okay, it can't be we're kind of half in, half out. We're either in like survival state or we're in our rest and digest, more thriving state. Now, as mammals, we are designed to be in that rest and digest state most of the time. That is what our experience should be for most of the time. I think if you were to ask most people in, around you, that wouldn't be their experience of life. And it took me quite a while to mentally accept that was the case, and what it was to go through life experiencing more of the rest and digest state than it was the the surviving state. Right. So if you don't even know what relaxation is for you, if you can't remember the last time that your whole entire being felt relaxation, this is your invitation to incorporate some form of active relaxation into your life. We're not designed as human beings to live in that survival state. It causes so many problems, so many illnesses. It literally is killing us. Okay, that's not what we are designed for. So we have to learn to access that rest and digest state within ourselves in order that our bodies can heal and replenish and, live life as we're meant to live it. Okay, we are mammals. We are meant to live in relaxation most of the time. And I think changing our relationship with what we think relaxation is really, really beneficial. So when I think about relaxation now, I don't think about doing nothing. I think about those very therapeutic activities that allow our very being to have a different experience of life in this moment. So when I think back to when we would have been in our, more tribal days, our active relaxation would have been very much around, preparing the meals, or, crafting, making things, all of this stuff would have been relaxing for our system. So think about those things around you today that are accessible to you, whether that be knitting or crocheting or painting, or, having a different relationship with preparing nutritious food and really enjoying that process, and that being a form of active relaxation for you. Moving your body, being outside, breathing in the fresh air, all of these things. There's so many ways that you can experience active relaxation in your life, and that's where you should be most of the time. So there's my invitation for you today. See what your experience with active relaxation is, and what one thing of that could you incorporate into your life today that would begin to allow your whole being to have a different experience of this moment. So do let me know. I'm happy to be your accountability person on this, to keep you motivated and to keep you focused on this whole concept of active relaxation, and what that how much that can really help to shift your whole entire being in any moment. So hopefully that was a good introduction for you to active relaxation, and gives you some really good ideas about what that can look like for you in your life. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye for now.